The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Pilate said to Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this on your own, or have others told you about me?" Pilate answered, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and chief priests handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom does not belong to this world. If my kingdom did belong to this world, my attendants would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not here." So Pilate said to him, "Then you are a king." Jesus answered, "You say I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My name is Deacon Ed Rose, and I'm from this diocese, and I'm stationed at St. Lawrence in Lafayette. And I came to talk a little bit about my ministry, and also give this lone wolf who never gets a break from preaching a break. So you know what that means, that this strange face that you saw is not a missionary, so there's no second collection, so be at peace. All right. Today's gospel is about Christ the King. And at the end of this gospel, the next 5 words, I wish they had included, because it's Pilate, and he says, "What is truth?" retorted Pilate. What is truth? You know, for thousands of years, the Jews, the Hebrews, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the Herodians, the Zealots, they were all looking for the Messiah. They were all looking for the king. And for 400 years, they had had no prophets, no judges. They were left as orphans. And then finally, as to fulfill what the prophet said, there was a voice crying out in the desert, John the Baptist, "Make way the way of the Lord, make straight his path, repent and be saved." And then along comes Jesus. Here's the king, proving his kingship. He makes the deaf hear. He makes the blind, gives the blind sight. The withered hands and the cripples he heals. The lepers he heals. He feeds thousands with all the bread and fish he can hold in his hands. He raised the dead. Lazarus, his friend, the synagogue's official's daughter, and the son of a widow. With all these signs, the chief priests, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, they didn't see the truth. They didn't see the king that was right in front of their face for various reasons. But they just rejected him. And not only did they reject him, but they did that. And that king loves us so much, he went there on his own for us. And of course, the Romans, the political leaders, they didn't believe in him either. They just handed him over and said, "Do with him what you want. It's your law." Wow. That was ignoring the truth. So what is truth in Pilate's words? What does this mean for us today, 2,000 years later? What is truth? Well, boy, our society has turned truth upside down, hasn't it? For thousands of years, marriage was between one man and one woman. And in the year 2000, some enlightened countries said, "Oh, we're going to redefine marriage." And then it spread like a disease, where now just about every country has redefined marriage. But in the beginning, it was between a man and a woman, and that's the way it was supposed to be. But not our society. What is truth? Today, when you look at television, I don't know if any of you watch NCIS. It's been on for 20 years, so it must be popular. Somebody's watching it. Blue Bloods. It's been on for, 14 years. Somebody's got to be watching it. Well, what about Chicago PD? It's been on for over a decade. Chicago Med, Chicago Fire. You hear some great rescue stories, great police stories. But what do they all have in common? The stars just jump from bed to bed to bed. We're crying out loud. Whatever happened to marriage? Whatever happened to waiting for marriage? And yet they're the popular shows. Society keeps telling us this is the truth, but it's not. We need for our young people to understand the value of waiting for marriage. When we wait for marriage, we give to that spouse something we never, ever, and never will give to anybody else. And their spouse can give to them something that there's never been given to anybody else. And that creates a special bond. I have an acquaintance who's been married 4 times. He's chasing the lust, and he can't find it. Because he's chasing the lust, he's not chasing the love. He's not chasing his spouse, who was made in the image and likeness of God, and cherishing the temple of the body, but only looking at it lustfully. When we look at it lustfully, it doesn't last, and it's not good. What's good is to wait and cherish the temple of our bodies. But our society says, well, if you're going to make a movie, you better have some nudity in it. We're made in the likeness of God. We're not to be entertainment. We're not to be something to look at with lust. And yet pornography has invaded our society. And in my marriage ministry, I hear so many tales of porn addiction that is destroying the marriage. Because the partner can't live up to it. And it's anymore today, it's not just the man who has the problem with the porn. But our society says, oh, pornography's all right, it's a victimless crime. No, it's not. Then worst of all, just when I think it can't get any goofier in our society, I read an article on the internet. It was an interview with this scientist. And this scientist was saying a transgendered woman is no different than a biological woman. And I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. That person, and I feel bad for them, that they're so confused, but they're never going to have a monthly friend. They're never going to bear a child. And take their blood. They're not going to have 2 X chromosomes. And yet we have people telling us this truth that by God it's the same. And it's not the truth. Not in the least. So what does that mean for us? Well, right now we're in this beautiful sanctuary in the presence of Jesus Christ. And we're not getting all that stupid noise right now. But when you walk out that door, you're going to be bombarded 24/7. And we're called to stand up for our values. Because if we don't, who will? I mean, we just can't let it continue to slide. We have to teach our young children that what they're seeing on TV is not the right way. And it's hard. But we have to do it. Because that's what we're called to do as Catholics. Some of us are called to be a priest. Some of us are called to be a deacon. Now, I don't think you've all seen deacons very much. So I want to tell you a little bit about the permanent diaconate. As a permanent deacon, I have holy orders. As a permanent deacon, we are lucky. We can have all 7 sacraments. Because deacons can be married. And I've been blessed with a wife for 47 years. Believe me, she is going to be a saint. She's got putting up with me. But we can be married. We can do some sacraments. We can baptize. We can witness marriages. But we can't say Mass. We can't confect the Eucharist. We can't forgive sins. So when a stranger comes up to me in the sacristy and says, "Father, can you hear my confession?" because they think I'm a priest because I'm in the sacristy, I'm tempted, but I don't do this. I'm tempted to say, "I can hear your confession, I just can't give you absolution." My wife hates it when I do that. So, but I can bury the dead. As a deacon, I've given 3 prisons for heresies. Assist at Mass, liturgy, the Word, I proclaim the gospel, and I can preach. And I also have a charity, and that is 3rd option. I'll get to that in a minute. Everyone is called differently. But I want to ask the young men of this parish, if you're in your 40s, 50s, think about, perhaps, are you being called to the permanent diaconate? It is a very gratifying ministry. It takes work, 5 years of learning, but it is very gratifying to be able to help people to baptize those babies and just do God's work that you're called to. Don't ignore the call. Please don't ignore the call. After Mass, I'll be in the back of the church. I'll be talking about that and learning the ministry. But it is a wonderful ministry when you can baptize, marry, and bury. The other thing that my brother deacons say, instead of baptize, marry, and bury, we like to say we can hatch, match, and dispatch. And I know I can say, my wife hates that one too, and I know I can say that this morning because she's not watching the live stream. All right. My ministry is 3rd option, and that's a funny name for a ministry that takes care of marriages and so get them back on the right track. We call it 3rd option because your first option, if your marriage is in trouble or struggling, is to stay together and be miserable. 2nd option is divorce. Jesus Christ told us, if you divorce your wife and remarry, you commit adultery. Adultery is one of the 10 big ones that God gave Moses. So the divorce is hard on the soul, it's hard on the family, it's hard on the children. So divorce is not a good thing. And we have a horrible divorce rate in this country. So the 3rd option is to fix that marriage. And we do that through teaching 14 different tools that you can take home and integrate into your marriage. Some of those, I won't go over all 14, but building a climate of respect, redefining the power struggle, handling anger constructively, forgiveness and repair, and 10 others. We teach those tools over 14 two-hour meetings. And those meetings are composed of review of the tool we talked about before. The next section of the meeting is the new tool. And the 3rd section is the most powerful. I'm blessed to have 7 mentor couples. And one of those mentor couples is going to come forward and they're going to explain how their marriage was in trouble and how the tool that was taught tonight, how they integrated that into their marriage and made their marriage better. It's real life, it's unscripted, and it's powerful because it's true. And I'm very blessed with that. You say, well, Deacon, that sounds really good, but does this work? 3rd option is a national program. It's been around for almost 20 years. So we've got some statistics. And for the couples that will stay with us for all 14 meetings and then do it again. So I'm asking 28 meetings if your marriage is struggling. We have an 85% success rate. 85%. I'm pretty proud of that. Now, since I'm proud and boastful, I got to go to confession. But the point is, this program works. Many times, only one spouse will start coming. And then the other spouse will see the change. And then they'll start coming too. We take mixed marriages. We take marriages that are all Protestant. We've even had a Jewish couple. And we help them. There's no charge for third option. Our next set of classes, and you don't have to start at the beginning, you can come in any time. Our next set is going to start on January the 27th. Now the bad news is, we meet in West Lafayette Blessed Sacrament. That's a Monday night, we meet Monday nights at 7. The good news is, we Zoom. We're in the 24th century or whatever. So, you can Zoom in. One of my mentor couples Zooms in and teaches from Birmingham. Their marriage was on the rocks. They were separated for 6 months. Ready to sign a divorce papers. Third option, save their marriage. Now they're a mentor couple. And after they retired and moved to Birmingham, they stayed with us. That's how powerful, that's how good this program is. I have our schedules, so the couples just come for a few of them because their marriage is good. They need to improve on personality differences or whatever. That's fine too. I have some brochures in the back of church, and I also got a refrigerator magnet. This is our, I like to call them 10 Commandments, but we label Bill of Rights. Every spouse has these 10 rights. I won't go through them all. The right to space and privacy. To disagree, to be told the truth, to courteous treatment. That's good for all marriages. So I'm going to ask 4 things. Pray for holy and happy marriages. With the divorce rate as it is, we need all the help we can get in our marriages. 2, if your marriage is struggling, please, please, please come to third option. If you can drive, great, but fly Zoom works just fine too. Please come to third option. 3rd, if your marriage isn't in trouble, you're still not off the hook. Because with a 50% divorce rate, you know somebody is. Take a brochure, take a schedule, encourage them to come to third option. And 4th, many hands make light the work. Please consider becoming a mentor couple. Your marriage doesn't have to be perfect. As I said, one of my mentor couples was separated for 6 months. So please consider becoming a mentor couple. And again, I'll be in the back with the brochures on one table and the schedules and the magnets. What is truth? Whether it is society attacking us, we need to stand up. Whether our marriage is in trouble, we need to try to fix it. If God is calling you to a better married life, to a single life, some young men to priesthood perhaps, or to permanent diaconate, open your heart, listen to the call, and then respond. Because if we don't proclaim the truth, who will? This is the truth.